Oh, we already have some Oh No Mulan faces in the chat. I like this. Before I get started, a couple quick things. First off, I was going to do this on the Super Game Boy with the custom frame. It looks sort of like this. It's a great frame, except that look how small the window is. How are you going to tell what's going on? It's awful for streaming, so I'm not going to do that. Also, it turns out that my cart freezes, so I'm playing on emulator today. Either way, let's go ahead and dive right in. Get these sweet jams. Listen to these tunes. Oh, it's so good. I hope you like this tune. We're going to hear a lot of it. There's your Oh No Molins. Get them out. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I like it. All right. If you've never played this game before, here's what makes this game terrible. The controls just straight up don't work most of the time. It's an A and B button based game because it is a Game Boy exclusive, so it basically just eats your inputs, and it maps multiple things to the same buttons. So running is the same as throwing, and you're going to see that most of the time I want to be doing both, so obviously that's a big problem. Anyway, with a quick press of the start button, we'll get to the new game screen. I've got my passwords up because this game is also really unforgiving. You don't have multiple lives, you don't have multiple continues. This is what you get. Good luck to me, I guess. Count it down with a 3, a 2, and a 1, and a go. So first things first, we need to do the training screen. Now you'd think that with a speedrun you'd want to hold right to start this thing off, but you don't. If you hold down an input when you go to the level, nothing happens. You actually sort of freeze in place for a while, and you actually have to let go of all the buttons in the controller, wait for a minute, and then start over again. So that's kind of cool. The hitboxes on these little targets is actually really tight and precise. And all the stages are going to be pretty consistent in that I've mapped out a lot of places to get damage boosts. Oh, I was hoping I wouldn't do that one. That one sucks. So there's actually a quick boost I can do to save some damage by jumping in between those arrows there, but now I've got to wait for the cycle. Ooh. It's also a bit of a maze with a lot of blind jumps, as you can see. I'm gonna play it slow on this arrow thing because I already took extra damage I didn't want. And we actually have to drop down through the floor by taking this danger noodle down all the way. And I'm going to take this arrow to the face. Well, we're jumping over a big puddle of mud or water or acid or, I don't know, club soda. I have no idea what's going on. But then they try and get us with a few more of these platforms. Funny thing about these platforms, they're spring-loaded, so if you wait too long, you're standing on top of them or whatever, they'll actually catapult you backwards through the air. It's great. I'm going to take this arrow in the dome. That arrow thing fires 6 arrows before it takes a break. And now here's our first major blind jump. I think I got it. There we go. And I'm going to crotch shot that guy with an apple. Oh, I died. Wow, that's embarrassing. All right. Phew. Now that I've wasted a minute and 30 of your time, let's do this the right way. Maybe I can get that damage boost correct this time. Ah, bad games. It's so good. It's so good. Yeah, it's a game over immediately. You miss the jump and you just lose. Yeah, I wish I could tell you that I did that on purpose to show you the animation, but that's not what happened. I just jumped off a cliff and died. It's great. Anyway, let's see if I can get this jump correct this time. I want to get as close to the end of the platform as possible because moving through the air while jumping is slower than moving through the air while walking. And if you do it right, it does what I just did, which is I clipped through the arrow and didn't take any damage for some reason. I only found out how that works recently, like as in yesterday, so I'm kind of excited that worked. Also, my graphics are slightly glitched out in the Health HUD down below. This game glitches out a lot graphically, both on original hardware and on emulator, so I'm hoping it'll do that a lot, because some of the glitches are very funny. Oh, jeez. Yep, there we go. Now I'm really choking it. Let's go ahead and fix this nonsense. Ah! And this is why Oh No Mulan is so good. Wow. Alright, hang on now. Something is up. I swear, I'm actually secretly good at this video game. Alright. Alley-oop. This game, like all good video games, starts at the hardest stage. There we go. Crotch shot. Hiya. Hey, I pushed the jump button instead of the throw button this time, guys. It's way faster to leap off and cross your fingers that you land. And now we gotta be just like the movie. All the way up. All the way up. There we go. Delicious. So normally it would be like a minute ago, but hey, you know what? Now we're swimming. It's cool. So it's a Game Boy game with 3 very different flavors of level to get us started here. I have to duck under this guy or I die. We have that first level, which is the traditional, like every Disney game starts at the little training stage. And then we have this top-down auto-scroller from bottom to top kind of deal here. It is an auto-scroller. It's slightly faster to be up near the top of the screen. So even though I can't see what's coming, this is a little bit better. You have a button that you can push to allow yourself to dive for a couple of seconds. The diving animation's really slow, and it won't work if you're currently pushed up against any of the architecture. So you kind of have to like backpedal a little bit in order to dive, which is one of the reasons why it's best to be up near the top of the screen. Most of this stage, it's safest to just kind of hug the right wall, and you dodge most of the enemies that way. And we're going to start seeing some giant cigars sticking out of the water right here. Let's see, there they are. Big old stogies. And now we're going to just sort of waddle a little bit to the left here. And we're almost done with the auto-scrolling stage, but now it's going to mess with us a little bit. So it's been pretty consistently staying on the right to avoid any sort of trouble, but now they're going to give us paths that are literally not completable if you're not already hugging the top of the screen. Kind of cool, I guess. This one's the scariest one because you have to dive all the way under that dude. But thank goodness I know how to swim. So we're moving along, and now it's the one that killed everybody in Cusa Grande. We're going to do some shield snowboarding. Alright, so this stage is incredibly deadly. It's really, really hard to do blind, I can tell you that for sure, but there's a couple places where it's a little bit safer. Generally, you don't want to leave your feet if at all possible. I'm going to try and line this up for this spot, which allows me to double jump over all these things. And I'm going to be drifting sort of between the front of the screen and the back of the screen. It's just a little bit safer to try and go back and forth. And Mulan, left to her own devices, will actually outpace the scrolling of the screen, so you sort of have to back her off a little bit by pushing the left arrow. Alright, now we should be safe. I'm going to push it all the way to the right. And we saved What's-His-Face! Yeah! We're heroes! Big damn heroes. Alright, now this stage is wild. We're going to damage boost basically everywhere. But the first thing we need to do is drop down a whole bunch of holes. Now this guy sometimes hits you and sometimes doesn't. It's completely random. You can have the exact same button inputs every single time, and sometimes that boulder will have enough time to hit you in the head just based on how the system renders everything. That's kind of weird. Thankfully we didn't take that damage, so I can just go ahead and body this dude. Get out of my way, nerd. And we're going to go ahead and drop into this ice pit and do a little bit more of these little ice jumps. You slow down a lot at the end of that one, so it's actually really dangerous. This game turns into a gigantic maze from this point forward. You get the 3 different cool, interesting, like, weird... Oop, that's bad. Well, we're gonna do this level over again, I guess. There, did I even leave off? There we go. So now that I've taken a bunch of damage, I have to do this the right way. No more damage boosting. Wah. There we go. But yeah, we went from having all these nifty, like, different versions of stages... Milan, up the... Thank you. And now it's all just mazes. Everything is mazes. We're just gonna go maze, 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 all the way through the rest of the game. Bop, bop, bop. Get out of here, nerd. Alright. Now we're gonna drop down. We actually have to double back and then start with a running jump in order to make this one, which I did not make. But this one actually has an escape. Most of the time, if you fall that far, you fall to your death, but for whatever reason, you don't here. Oh, come on. Mulan, why? Alright, there we go. Good heavens. This game. Delightful. It eats basically every third input, so that's sometimes just what happens. Alright, now we're outside, and we get to play a bouncing minigame where we bounce on these little rooftops to climb ropes. Which again, if you don't know where you're going, is a real problem. You just start running along the length of the stage and you're like, oh, I can't go this direction anymore, and there's no solution. You just have to, like, figure out that you can climb onto these things. Let's see, I'm gonna be right here. This one's a super long jump. You basically only have one jump distance here, so you have to line it up so that all of these jumps will land where they need to make this last landing. And I totally botched it, as I have been doing for most of this run, so we're gonna have to back all the way past this nerd and get back up on top of the canopy, which I think this will probably be okay. It's a little far forward for my taste. I might slip through the cracks on one of these, but we'll see. Alright, here we go, here we go. Alright, we made it. Alright. That's technically the hardest jump in the game, but they're all pretty bad because of how bad the controls are, so it's not really so bad. We're going this way now, and we're going to body this man, and we've got some rooftop climbing. So we're done with ropes for a little while, and it is a very little while. We're going to go ahead and just drop down here. We're going to climb up, and now we got this rope. Told you it was a very little while. As soon as the bottom of the rope drops off screen, we know that we have the distance to make the jump. You also always have to jump upright to climb into these ropes for whatever reason. Other ropes in the game you can move on to while you're at a running speed, but you can't do that from here. Alright, here we go, some double long jumps. Leap of faith. I know everybody likes making blind jumps in video games. If you don't do the blind jump at full distance, you actually just fall and die. The fall damage is enough to kill you, even if you have full hearts, so that's kind of fun. But don't worry, we've made it to the inside of the palace, where I'm sure all of our friends will dress and drag to help us, but they don't in this game, sadly. No. We just have to climb the furniture and play that the floor is lava. And yes, there's like empty floor space in front of all this furniture, but we have to climb it. It's actually required. So we're gonna climb the furniture, go up the walls. We're basically playing Unruly Toddler the game. So a lot of these have like guys who pop out of them and try to hit you with a sword. If you've got good jump animations, you can actually just run right past them without taking any damage. It's somewhat random. You can mitigate a lot of the randomness by being at certain jump heights and starting your run animation before... I actually have to drop down here where I die from the leap of faith. Before you actually land, but in this case, not so helpful. But they've upgraded our apples or whatever we're throwing. Now I'm throwing firecrackers, so they're actually effective now. This guy I can actually jump immediately over his head, but I'll still clip him as I get onto the rope because he turns around and puts a sword up my butt, so we don't like that. We are almost at the final boss already, and the final boss does have a quick kill. And as everybody I'm sure is aware, if you've seen the movie Mulan, the final boss is Lieutenant Worf from the Starship Enterprise. Spoilers, I know, I'm sorry. But we're going to go ahead and put Worf in a corner here. Here we go, final boss time. It's epic! First I'm going to get hit in the face by Lieutenant Worf. And I'm just going to hang out over here. Come on, buddy. Sword in the butt! And then I pop him right in the nose. That's time. My timer won't stop. It's just going to keep going, but that's time! And yeah, congratulations everybody! The fireworks exploded and Shen Yu is finished, but the palace is engulfed in flames and destroyed. We won? Yay! The Emperor emerges from the smoke. Mulan bows humbly. Yes, that's a letter B. It's hard to tell. He tells Mulan that he knows of her escapades. Stealing her father's armor, dishonoring the child. I had armor this whole time and you didn't tell me? Really? Ugh. And I return home triumphant. Again with a horse I didn't even know I had. Come on. That's some nonsense. And the end. Oh no, Mulan. Alright everybody, thank you for tuning in for some Mulan. Coming up next we have Shen Talk with Tempo Jr. I'm going to kick it over to Bersencio right now.